Stay awake, because you don't know the hour and the time when the Lord will come. Now, many of you say, what are all these parables that we are hearing every Sunday? Do you know how many parables St. Matthew presents to us in the Gospel? Don't play bingo if you don't know it. I'm going to give you a hint. When we celebrate Christmas?
The 25th.
25 parables he has. Okay, so we'll give you. Do you know how many of those parables are registered in other Gospels? And only 11 are registered in Matthew. And one of them is today, the Gospel of the Virgins. Now, many of you say, what is this virgin is all about, Well, in the old days, during the time of Jesus, when there was a marriage, it is not like us today, They come to church, the bride and groom in front of the altar and, But there is something that resembles them. And many of the girls are going to not very happy with this. The girls select bridesmaids. And they wear the same gown. And some of the gown, the color of the gown, will be the butterfly or the tie of the man on the other side of her husband to be. And that comes from there. At the time of Jesus, the virgins, together with the bride, they will leave the home of her mother, and they escort her to the new house of the groom. And they do it at night. And that's why they need light, because there was no lamps in the streets. And that's why they went with the lamps to greet the groom. And today Jesus said there were 10 bridesmaids, and 5 he called them wise, and 5 he called them foolish. The wise one not only take the lamps, but they took also a flask of oil with them, so that if the groom is going to be late coming, they have oil enough to trim the lamps so that the lamps will be light brightly. So, as you know, the case was the groom was coming late. And so they were all full of sleep, and they were sleeping. All of a sudden, at midnight, there was a call. Now, how many of you invite your people to come and visit you at midnight? I don't have anyone at midnight. You know what that Jesus said that? Because the day of the Lord comes without you expecting it. You can expect people to come for dinner, or come at 8 o'clock, or meet them someplace at a restaurant at a recent time, but not at midnight. He will come without we expecting him. And when they wake up, the foolish said to the wise, if we don't have some of your oil, we are not going to be able to enter, because our lamps will go down. And the wise said to them, we don't think that we have enough for both of us, so go and buy some oil for yourselves. What is the message that Jesus wants to say to us? I'm going to go with St. Jerome. You know St. Jerome? How many of you heard of St. Jerome? What he did, St. Jerome? What is the most important job he did?
The Vulgate?
The Vulgate, very good. He translates, very good. Very good. I'm going to tell the pastor to give you A+. He translated the Bible from the Hebraic to the Latin, the Vulgate. And it took him 30 years to do so. And St. Jerome has his interpretation about this parable today. And he said, the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins. You know what that represents? The 5 senses. The eye, to see. The ear, to hear. The nose, to smell. The mouth, to speak. The hands, to touch. And that is exactly what Jesus is trying to say to you. You are going to accumulate oil from your senses. What you have done to others is what's going to be your reward when you appear in front of God. Because I cannot serve God without these 5 senses. I have to go to the hospital, and at the bed of the hospital, I will touch somebody to give him consolation. And somebody who is going through a hard time, I give ear to somebody who wants to speak to me. For those who are going through a struggle, I give them eyes of compassion. For those who are going through a hard time, I am going to show them the ugliness of sometimes the smell of death, that they are walking into it. And how many times I need to speak the words of consolations to people who are going through a hard time. These are going to be the effects by which we are going to increase our oil and our flax. So when we appear in front of him, we can present it. Now, many of you do not know this because, how many of you are not even 90 years old. So times we don't know the equivalent or what is the meaning of oil. Oil was used for 3 things in the Old Testament: to anoint priests, prophets, and kings. A few years ago, about a year ago, you see in England, King Charles was anointed, and they take off his clothes in a secret place, and they put oil on his head, and they put oil on his heart, as he is anointed now of the Lord. That's the consecration that David and all those kings received during the time of their anointing. And oil from its very nature is healing. It heals. When I was young, we don't have medicine that we have today. I mean, I am not that old, but I lived with my grandmother, and when you tell her that you have a stomach ache, she will put some oil on the lamb, she heat it, and she rub it on you, and really it makes you feel good. Because the oil really, from its very nature, it heals. And that is what Jesus is trying to convey to us today. That we need to be people who are going to prepare for the day when he is going to call us. Because the door, when it closed, means when your life is ended on the face of the earth, there will be no second chance. You're not going to tell the Lord, go, let me go and straighten my things before I enter. No. Done. And from behind that door, you are going to hear the word, I hope not. Get away from me, I don't know you. But Lord, I go to Sunday Mass every Sunday. I receive communion. I receive the sacraments. I was a good husband. I was a good wife. Get away from me. I don't know you. And that is because you did not participate in the acts of mercy. To love Jesus is not to know about Jesus. To love Jesus is to do like Jesus. There is no greater love than this, than to lay down your life for the one you love. That's love. That means Christians. Not because you come and sit in the pew and say, I am registered in the book of St. Mary's, or because I am baptized, whatever you are baptized. If you want to belong to Jesus, you have to act like Jesus. That's why we are called Christians. We are reflecting, we are replica of Jesus. When you see the needs to reach out to others and you don't do it, you are rejecting not that person, but you are rejecting him. Because he is the image that comes in front of you, created by him for that purpose. In that person in front of you, you are seeing Christ. Yesterday we celebrated the feast of St. Martin of Tours. You know who St. Martin of Tours was? He was a soldier in the Roman army. He was from France. A young man. He was coming out, from battle. And while he is coming from battle, riding on a horse, he does not have any money on him, nothing. He was coming home. As he turned the corner, he saw a poor beggar begging for alms. And Martin had nothing to give him. So he took his mantle, slit it with his sword, and throw that piece of mantle on him so he will have something to clothe himself from the night, from the cold of the night. That very night, the Lord Jesus appeared to Martin and appeared in the face of that man that he helped. The face of Jesus was the man that he helped. And Martin received instruction to become Christian. He was baptized, ordained priest, and become Bishop of Tours. And the last action that he did was, when he was a bishop, there was a presbytery, that means a rectory, where 4 priests was living. And you know, priests are like you. You like him, you don't like him. You get along with him, you don't get along with that one. And the same thing with us. Don't think that because we are priests, we are all, lovey-dovey. We have our moods and our shortcomings. And Martin heard about this division in this presbytery, in this rectory. He was 83 years old. He was about, very old, and he was feeling the time of departure of this world come upon him. And he asked some of the men that he was serving with him to take him to this parish. And he took off his clothes as a bishop, and he dressed like a lay person. And he knocked at the presbytery, at the rectory. And the young priest, who does not get along with the pastor, answered the door. And Martin said, "Can you hear my confession?" And the priest said, "Definitely. Come, dear, come." And after the priest absolved Martin, after he confessed, Martin said to the priest, "If you have the power to forgive me my sins, can you find it in your heart to forgive your pastor?" That is Christianity. If you want God to forgive you, as you are going to say in the Our Father, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. But you need to forgive others, because that forgiveness will not come to you. You can pray how much you want your forgiveness. There is a condition: I will forgive you if you forgive. This is what Jesus is trying to teach us. In 2 weeks from now, we are going to celebrate the Feast of Christ the King, and the church conclude the calendar of the church. And the gospel we are going to hear is the same gospel that we read some weeks ago, and also from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25. And Jesus is going to say, "I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was ill and in prison, I was homeless. What did you do for me?" If we are going to respond, "Lord, anyone that I encounter and anyone that comes to me in time of need, I reach out to them," the Lord will say to you, "Come, you blessed one, because what you have done to my little ones, you have done it to me." Unfortunately, if you say, "Well, I was busy. Well, Lord, I don't know that was you. Oh, I missed the opportunity," the Lord will say to you, "Farther away from me, because what you did not do to my people, you failed to do it to me." My dear people, we have to be serious about our faith. We have to be vigilant. We need to be the light of Christ in the world we live. We need to make a difference in the congregation, in the place of work, at home, wherever we are. You cannot allow yourself to be a person who everything goes, because then you are Christian of the name. And about Christian of the name, I have a lot to say about this. The worst people in the church are those who are Christians of the name, because they are given a bad reputation about the church. Either you are or you are not. Either you know Christ and love Christ and do like Christ wants you to do, or hit the door and don't even bother with Christ. We cannot play the games with Jesus. Either you are with me or against me. Either you gathered or you scattered. And do not let the words that we hear in the gospel ever be heard to your face at the end of journey of your life. Stay away from me, you evildoers, because I gave you a chance to love me. and you failed, and now I don't know you. I hope, pray, Lord, that those words will never proclaimed and pronounced to anyone here in this church today, especially to me, because I have a judgment to face. I'm not afraid to die, which soon I will be dead, but I am afraid of judgment. Because my judgment is not going to be of my personal sin, period. Each one of you, if you are not living your faith, say, Father, how do you know? Each one of you, if you are not living your faith, I am responsible. You say, how that? How that? Because the gospel said it to us in the book of Ezekiel. When God said to Ezekiel, I am sending you to a people who are not going to listen to you, who are going to make fun of you. But I want you to go and tell them what I am telling you. If they listen and they convert, I will hold you not responsible for them. But if they don't listen and they lose their life, I will hold you responsible if you did not preach the word to them. Do you get that message? So it's not everything is all right. There is good and there is not good. There is good and there is evil. And we need to be people on the side of good. Because God gave you a vocation. Each one of us by baptism, we have a vocation. And that vocation is to promote Jesus Christ. And today, I finish with the words of St. Paul today. When St. Paul is writing to people of Thessalonica, you lectors, you are lucky today. I don't ask you questions. But Jesus today, the people of Thessalonica tell them, because they were debated. So those who died before Jesus died, how do we know that they are going to be saved? And St. Paul said to them, if they live with the promise of the future coming of the Messiah, they will be saved. But we will not precede them. First them and then us. Each one of us are going to be caught in one gathering. And that gathering is going to be either on the left or on the side, on the right. And I hope that we all will be on the right. But if you want to be on the right, you be like those wise virgins. Do as much as you can to reach out to other people. Don't be indifferent. When you see somebody struggling, don't say to them, well, there is the government. Oh, there is that group of people who... You do something. I always pray that when I die, I leave a legacy. And the legacy was that I make a difference with the little time and talents that God gave me. And so do you. You need to be known for your love, for your charity, for your kindness, for attitudes that you have towards others, because what you have done to those around you, you have done it to the Lord. And there I can tell you that your oil is being reserved. So when you come in front of Him, your hands will not be empty, but full of that love that you have shared. But you cannot share that love unless you are rooted in Him. There is the secret of love. Many people say, well, Father, I don't go to Mass because I read the Bible. I said to them, unless you eat of Him and drink of Him, you have no life in you. God bless you.